On paper, he was one of the most powerful men in music. But in the courtroom, Sean Diddy Combs isn't a mogul. He's just another man facing some of the most disturbing allegations in celebrity history. As the trial unfolds, the headlines grow darker. What started as whispers and rumors has exploded into a full-blown legal disaster. One with shocking testimony, strange behavior, and decades of questions finally bubbling to the surface. So what's really happening behind those closed doors? Let's break it down piece by piece. For years, Diddy, also known as Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, or Love, represented hip-hop's luxurious edge. He built Bad Boy Records, launched stars like the notorious B.I.G., and amassed a fortune through fashion, liquor brands, and entertainment deals. But now, that empire is cracking. In late 2023 and early 2024, lawsuits began piling up. Accusations of trafficking, coercion, and manipulation, some dating back over a decade. The most prominent of these? A bombshell case filed by singer Cassie, his former partner of over 10 years. And it didn't stop there. Since Cassie's case, over 5 women and 2 men have come forward. And then came the federal raid. In March 2024, federal agents stormed Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami. Helicopters hovered overhead as tactical units moved in. It wasn't just a publicity stunt. They were acting on sealed warrants linked to alleged criminal activity. Everything was about to change. As of May 2025, the trial is in full motion. And what's being said inside that courtroom is nothing short of disturbing. Cassie was the first major witness. And what she described was not just a toxic relationship. It was a life of control, fear, and exploitation. According to her testimony, Diddy forced her into what she called freak-offs, encounters with strangers that he allegedly organized and watched. She claimed he manipulated her emotionally, isolated her from friends, and used physical intimidation to maintain control. Cassie's words weren't vague. She painted a chilling picture of psychological abuse, describing how he allegedly monitored her phones, controlled her money, and even threatened her career. But perhaps the most haunting moment came when she looked at him and simply said, "You never loved me. You owe me." Then came Regina Ventura, Cassie's mother, and what she said shocked the courtroom. According to Regina, she once paid Diddy $20,000 to stop him from releasing a graphic tape involving her daughter. She claimed she had to take out a personal loan to afford it, and said she feared for Cassie's safety if the footage ever went public. It wasn't just emotional testimony. It sounded more like a ransom negotiation, and it suggested a level of calculated control far deeper than anyone expected. Next came David James, a former assistant who worked in Diddy's inner circle. He described a household ruled by fear and secrecy. James testified that he regularly witnessed explosive outbursts. Diddy allegedly threw objects, screamed at staff, and once even attacked a security guard over a minor disagreement. But that wasn't the worst of it. According to James, he found a hidden stash of pills, some with the face of Barack Obama printed on them. There were also strange photos and documents, allegedly used to blackmail or intimidate people close to Diddy. James said he was afraid to speak out earlier, but now, he claims the truth needs to be heard, no matter the cost. Another shocking witness was Dawn Richard, a member of Diddy's girl group Donity Kane. She described a work environment where Diddy allegedly played women against each other, isolating them, manipulating their self-worth, and threatening to shelve their careers if they didn't obey. Dawn stopped short of making specific criminal accusations, but her testimony supported the pattern. A man obsessed with power and control, using fame as leverage and fear as a weapon. Of course, Diddy's legal team has denied everything. They argue that the relationships were consensual, the allegations exaggerated, and that his accusers are motivated by fame and money. One lawyer called the case a smear campaign against a black billionaire, comparing it to the media attacks on other prominent men in entertainment. They also questioned the timing of the lawsuits, many of which were filed under New York's Adult Survivors Act, a temporary law that allowed older abuse claims to be reopened for a short window. But in the court of public opinion, that defense is struggling. As the trial unfolds, it becomes clear this is more than just about one man. It's about power, secrecy, and how celebrity can shield even the darkest behavior. Some observers have drawn comparisons to other cases, from R. Kelly to Jeffrey Epstein, not because the crimes are identical, but because the patterns are chillingly familiar. Isolation, manipulation, control, and all allegedly hidden behind a curtain of wealth, glamour, and fame. Looking at everything laid out so far, a disturbing theory begins to take shape. What if Diddy's empire wasn't just about music or fashion, but about control? What if the parties, the homes, the fame, were all tools in a larger system of manipulation? The way his accusers describe him, it's less like a record producer and more like a cult leader. Every detail, the secrecy, the monitoring, the alleged payoffs, points to something organized, calculated, and dangerously hidden. And the scariest part, if even half of these claims are true, how did no one stop him for over 20 years? At the time of this video, the trial is still underway. More witnesses are expected to testify, and the federal investigations into his properties and finances are ongoing. But regardless of a verdict, this case has already changed everything. Diddy's legacy is shattered. His business deals are crumbling, and the entertainment world is watching closely. This isn't just about whether he's guilty. It's about how much people knew and how long they looked away. The Diddy trial isn't just about one man's crimes. It's about a system that let him rise without question. A spotlight so bright it blinded the people closest to him from seeing the darkness behind the scenes. When you examine the testimony, Cassie's haunting stories, her mother's desperate silence, the assistant's disturbing discoveries, you start to notice something more than just misconduct. You begin to see the outline of a pattern, almost like a blueprint for control. The expensive homes weren't just luxury. They were cages dressed in velvet. The parties weren't just celebrations. They were distractions masking something sinister behind the music and lights. The entourage wasn't just a team. It was a wall, one that protected the king at all costs. What makes this trial even more unsettling is not just the allegations themselves, but how many people may have known, or at least suspected, something for years. And yet no one said anything, not until now. That silence, that collective turning of heads, is what allowed all of this to fester in shadows for so long. Because in the world of fame and fortune, power doesn't just protect, it corrupts. And that's the core of this story. This isn't just about Diddy anymore. It's about the way the entertainment industry enables the powerful to behave without consequences. As long as the money keeps flowing, as long as the music keeps playing, as long as people keep looking the other way. And here's the most chilling part. What if this is just the beginning? What if the Diddy trial opens the door to more revelations, more names, more disturbing truths buried beneath the glitter and gold of the music industry? What if the empire Diddy built isn't the only one built on fear, silence, and control? These aren't just allegations. They're red flags waving in a storm of unanswered questions. And with every new day in court, we're not just watching a trial. We're witnessing the slow unraveling of a legacy, one secret at a time, because sometimes the biggest stars cast the darkest shadows. And now, the world is finally starting to see what was hiding underneath.